Well, hello everybody. Thanks for coming back. I know you're chomping at the bit now. So previously we created the login and sign up activity, and we did the design of these activities. Maybe you cleaned it up a little bit. You made it look much more beautiful. But like I say, this is about code. So now we're going to write the necessary code for the sign up process. Let's get to it. But before we actually start writing any code to be written for this user to be a member, we should also do some operations on the Firebase side. Hopefully you remember we were last in the real-time database section. So we'll do the sign in and sign up process in the authentication section. Okay, just want to be clear. So I want to open up the authentication section. And if you see a Get Started button when you click on the authentication section, well, you can access this page by clicking the Get Started button. Makes sense? See, so on this page, I want to open the Sign In Method section. And here in this section, you should activate which methods that you want the user to log in with. So here are the options: log in with email and password, log in with phone number verification, log in with a Google account, Facebook or Twitter, many, many more. But we're keeping it simple for the moment, and we will activate the email and password section. So I'll just click email and password. So this section is currently closed. But if you select enable and press the save button, you will now be able to authenticate via email and password through the application. All right, so after you do that, we can write the necessary code to become a member of this application in Android Studio. So I want to open up Android Studio. Now, to use the authentication feature of Firebase, we should add the Firebase authentication library to our Android project. So for this, just want to open the Firebase Assistant in Android Studio. And from the top menu, I'll select Tools and Firebase Options. And you see here, the Firebase Assistant has an authentication section. So from this authentication section, I want to click Authenticate using Custom Authentication System with Kotlin. All right, so if you click here, it just explains to you the steps that need to be taken. So obviously the first step is the integration of the application with Firebase, which we've already done before. Hopefully you remember. Second one is the Gradle library needs to be added. So I want to click this button. So here, the Firebase Auth library will now be added. I'll click Accept Changes. All right, so as you're seeing, Android Studio adds the necessary library. So I want to show you what this looks like from the Gradle file. So here, the Firebase Auth library has been added. And once you double check that, we can now write the Kotlin codes. So I'm going to close this menu. First, we'll create the necessary codes for the sign up part in the sign up activity. Now we've defined the view binding for the sign up activity. We also added a click listener to the sign up button. All right, so that stuff is done, but thinking about what this application is doing, right, when the user clicks the sign up button, well, we're going to need to get the data entered by the user. That is, of course, the email and password. So here I will write val user email equals signup binding dot edit text email signup dot text dot to string. I'll also get the password. Val user password equals signup binding dot edit text password signup dot text dot to string. Okay, so once that's done, let's do the membership process. But I do want to create a new function below and do it in that function. I will then call the function in the click listener. Okay, so the name of the function can be sign up with Firebase. Also, this function will take two parameters. Parameters will be user email and user password. For the first parameter, I just write user email :string. And the second parameter, user password :string. Now, before doing anything else here, I have to create an object from the Firebase Auth class in the global area. And that goes like this: val auth :firebase auth equals firebase auth dot get instance. And I'm going to use this auth object to sign up. All right, so the codes that I need to write in this method are available in the Firebase Assistant menu. So let's just look at the code from there. I'll open up the Firebase Assistant again. Now from the 7th section, I'll click the link here to open the complete guide for custom authentication. And see on this page, I'll click Password Authentication from the left of the page. So it's here on this page you can find the necessary code. All right, so here is that necessary code for email and password authentication. Now you can, of course, copy these, but instead of copying from here, I really do prefer to write them together in Android Studio. So I'll show you how to do that when you go back to Android Studio. So in this sign up with Firebase function, I write auth.create user with email and password. See, so that function automatically creates a user account in Firebase. And this function takes the email and password entered by the user as a parameter to create the account. So that means for us, inside this parenthesis, I'll write user email, user password. All right, so in fact, at this stage, the account is created. But wouldn't it make sense to add a complete listener to this function to track the result of the operation? See, so yeah, I'll write .add on complete listener at the end of the function. I'm also going to create a lambda representation with a task parameter inside curly braces. Now you remember, right, we've done this several times before with our real-time database operations. So it should look fairly familiar. Okay, so now the listener will check to see if the process has been completed. If the transaction is complete, well, we'll define the transactions to be performed in an if statement. So I'll write if the task is successful. If there's a problem creating the account is not open, we can define the actions to be performed in the else section, of course. For example, if the account can't be opened in the else section, well, we can give that user a warning. However, what actions do we want when the account is created? Well, we'll first show the user a toast message that its account's been created successfully. And that looks like toast.makeText, application context. And for the message, you can write whatever, but I'm writing your account has been created. Toast.lengthshort.show. So here I want to actually do another action. If the account has been successfully created, this page should be closed and the user should be directed to the section where they enter email address and password from the login page. All right. So for that, I just want to call the finish function. Okay, so now let's show a toast message to the user in the else section. Copy the same toast message, paste it into the else section. So you can write the message here if you want. But I, however, will show the reason for the error. So I just write in task.exception. The exception is nullable. And for this, I'll put a question mark. And lastly, .toString. All right. So let's call this function inside the click listener of the sign up button. So after writing sign up with Firebase here, I'm sending the parameters, user email and user password. All right, so now the application's membership creation section is ready. But why don't we just run it and see what it looks like and make sure it works. Okay, so there's the application open. So by pressing the sign up button, the sign up activity opens. I'll write in an email address in the email section. and a password. And I'll click sign up. All right, so there's the toast message. Login activity opens, and that means the account was created. But you know what? Let's go ahead and check to see if the account is really open. So switch on over to Firebase. So we enabled the latest email and password, right? Now, if we switch to the users section here, we can see the account that we created. Of course, as the administrator of the application, I can see the email address entered by the user. Of course, I wouldn't be able to see the password. But from here, I can definitely see the date when the user created the account. And I can see the last entry date from this section. And here is the user UID. Now, this is a special code for each user. And by using this code, I can do many more things, like sending a private notification to the user or other things. So after we check all that, we'll now need to log into the application using the account created by the user. So we'll do all of that in the next video. I'll see you on the other side.